frequency with which Mr. Gigaba visited the Guptas, and you explain the frequency when Parliament was sitting and then the frequency when in recess. Mr. Gigaba at paragraph 48 says, this is a total fabrication. It's not based on any personal knowledge on the part of Nomshula. Beggars belief that every time I went to Parliament, I'd first rush off to meet the Guptas and then on my return report back to them. How did you know, on your version, how often Mr. Gigaba was going to the Guptas?
In my knowledge, he used to go there a lot. It's not true that he went there maybe
So my question is, how did you know?
He told me.
Or what would he typically tell you?
He will tell me that he's going to see his advisors, or he will say he's going to see Ajay. And there were times where he will go there with his bodyguards without me, and there were times he will ask me to go with him.
All right.
So we were forever, most of the time we were forever there.
Then we deal with...
I'm sorry. Are you able to give an indication of about how many times he may have gone there with you over the period, leaving out occasions when he told you that he had been there, but you had to rely on his word. You were not there to see whether he was indeed there. So, but the times when you were there with him at the Gupta residence, are you able to say, to give an indication?
I can say an estimation because I don't know exactly the number, but I know it's more than 20 times. It's a lie that it was 4 or 3 times.
Yes.
Because we used to go there when Malusi have meetings, then I will sit and wait for him to finish meetings. And sometimes we'll go there for lunch where we will just sit with Ajay, with his, their son, and also with the wife. There will be times where we'll just go, because Diwali, I only know one Diwali. So when Malusi is saying we used to go there for events, we only attended 2 events in the 10 years that I'm with him. So most of the time it's either lunch or his meetings, but we used to go there very often together.
And this again deals with the briefing by Mr. Ajay Gupta of Mr. Gigaba. And you set out in paragraph 25 the various things that you overheard during those briefings. What Mr. Gigaba says in response at paragraph 63 is that the contents hereof are emphatically denied. Her version that on the one hand there were these clandestine meetings where cell phones had to be handed over, and yet on the other, prior to the meeting commencing, Nomshula was privy to an entire briefing session where the purpose of the meeting was disclosed in her presence, is so improbable as to warrant outright rejection. What do you say to that? So he rejects outright your version that there were these briefing sessions in your presence.
Ajay used to brief Malusi in front of me, and then they will go there. So the entire meeting never happened in front of me because Ajay used to take him inside the room where they used to have meetings.
What do you say about the contention that what you say he was briefed about were things that had been in the media for many years? You drawing on the media to make this up?
I don't even understand why he will talk about the media, because at our home, Malusi didn't even allow us to watch the news most of the time, or also maybe read the newspapers as well. So everything that I said, it's something that I've seen, or that is something that he told me. So I've never go to the media and go collect information about him. What I've given here is something that I've seen, and it's something that I heard from him that he told me. When it comes to the India trip happened when Malusi was taken back to Home Affairs, but I know a couple of times when Ajay will tell Malusi, when he was still at DPE, he will say, you need to go meet those people, and also I want to know what's the feedback between the SAA. And sometimes they will argue. Malusi say, I remember Malusi saying to him, I can't go with the state visit to go meet those people because AJ wanted them to cancel the airline, the SAA airline, and put the Mumbai airline. And Malusi said he can't go on his own. He needs to justify the trip. And then AJ would be like, no, you can go with the entire. Then Malusi was like, he can't do that because he needs to justify the trip. So they used to have like a back and forth, how Malusi would go to Mumbai doing that airline, and sometimes they will have a back and forth with him. It's him and also with Dudumieni. So there were discussion most of the time where they would talk about that before the trip. And then Malusi was taken back to Home Affairs before he traveled to India. But the trip happened when he was at Home Affairs. We went to India.
So to carry on with the chronology, at paragraph 9.5, you say that following this, about August 2020, I learned from the newspapers the announcement of divorce proceedings being instituted by Mr. Gigaba. The summons was only served on me in September 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
You go on to say that only on 17 December 2020 did I conduct a television interview with the ENCA, after which I was immediately contacted by the Commission on 18 December 2020. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
So do I understand correctly from what you've told the chairperson that you were arrested on the 31st of July 2020?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
At paragraph 9.7, continuing with the chronology, you say, about January 2021, discussions on settlement ensued between me and Mr. Gigaba, as is normal in divorce matters, and with the principal aim of avoiding a long and protracted process of divorce. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
You go on to say that this is when the allegations of supposed extortion started flying around. I must indicate that I'm totally astonished at the utter suggestion that I would seek to blackmail or extort Mr. Gigaba in any form of settlement in respect of the divorce, or into any form. As a matter of fact, I remained shocked as to what it is I would be seeking to achieve by such conduct. I say this for the following reasons. One, the house we live in is a rented house. Is that right?
Yes.
Two, we are married out of community of property. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Three, the other house that Mr. Gigaba owns, there is still a huge amount owed to the bank in respect of the bond. Is that right?
Yes.
Four, the entire furniture in the house that we live in belongs to me. Is that correct?
Yes.
Five, I am in no state or have any intention to fight with Mr. Gigaba, as we have two minor children together, whom I had even proposed to leave with Mr. Gigaba to avoid any further confrontation and dispute related to our divorce, and so as to expedite. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
And six, as confirmed in a letter from my attorneys to the Commission, there are no ongoing settlement discussions between the parties. It is therefore not clear what I stand to gain by assisting the Commission. You confirm all of that?
Yes, it's true.